This plant has become my way to life. Every day I wake up, watch it, and water it with a specific glass, and that consoles me to a bit that the water is growing a life and helps me in breathing normally. This plant and the water resonates with the freedom and the sense of calmness my mom always brought into my life. Then my dad handovers me the grains of quinoa, which is my mom's favorite breakfast when cooked in home. And while moving to the terrace, everything that flashes in front of my eyes is those happiest times spent together while basking in the sun. And as it continues to hurt now, I hear the crow chirrupings, and watching these birds eating and moving exactly the same makes me cherish the fact of how our thought process and style has been exactly the same. And this resonates with my mom's enduring presence and symbolize our journey after life. Then I pack my bag, and this has never been the same since a year like how it used to. And it feels like a huge baggage that gets added on. I apply a kala tika, which my mom would insist me to do every day. I am newly adopting to applying bindi, which my mom would like me to. And then I eat the breakfast, and then I touch my mom, and I just get out of home somehow. And it's always heavy here because I don't see my mom waving her hand or asking me to get something from office. Standing here with extreme rage and anguish, I spat at this temple. As I board the cab, I hold the fear of breaking down with all the memories that are ahead of me at every next stop. The hospital next to this reminds me of the time where my mom would take me when I would complain about stomachache, as I would have severe appendix in my childhood. And this dental clinic here is the clinic which my mom took me to when I have dental issues during my intermediate, and it was exactly the same time where my mom was struggling with her health and still never said a no. And that reminds me of how much care and how much love she has bestowed on me, even while having the extreme pain in her life. As we head to Koti, just like that signal, I wanted the world to stop here. Every time Koti reminds me of that fact that this is the last place where my mom has accompanied us for shopping for Dashara. While my mom would take us to Charminar, Koti for our Dashara shopping, which used to be yearly once, and few years back even we have stopped that, considering my mom is not healthy, and for street shopping it is not easy for her to tackle everything. More than shopping for clothes, I always remember Koti to be the place where my mom would take us to whenever we had our classes to be started, for the books and for everything. Like, I remember when I was child and my mom didn't had enough money, when I said like I needed that book, my mom would never say no, always get me the books. And whenever I cross through these lanes, it feels like my mom is in front of me with that eyes of how proud and how happy she was whenever I would read even a small sentence from that book in English. And it only shows the amount of commitment and dedication what my mom has shown for our education, which makes us be so strong and independent even in this life challenging situation. Koti is one such shopping place which has lot of emotional significance in my life, as it is very well associated with my mom. And though it has changed over years, I really have that imprint of the places from where my mom would shop for the bags. And this place here is that shop from where my mom would shop for bags. And it always reminds me those times where we would often go to Koti and Charminar for different things, and Koti is the place where my mom would shop me for the books, bags and whatnot. And this reminds me the same place from where we took the auto back home. after my mom shopping so stubbornly for us that we don't see a festival without new outfits. Then I happened to see this woman with these beautiful cucumber flowers, which is my mom's favorite flowers. But more or often, I and mama would only get the jasmine flowers for mom because this is something what we wouldn't find so easily, but these are my mom's favorite flowers. Mehdi Patnam reminds me of the time where I got anjeer fruit to my mom immediately after hearing someone say that it boosts the immune system. As we move on, IKEA feels as if freshens up all the pain once again all together, as it reminds me the first time where I and Mamu have visited IKEA, and looking at different people, families there, we were discussing it would have been better if mom is so capable on her legs that she can see all of this together with us. And numerous times I and mom have discussed that I'll take her to IKEA one day, and it all feels, even a small thing that just flashes in front of eyes leaves lot of pain, and that acceptance never comes to an agreement. And then this is known to number of people who have traveled at least once with me, that whenever I hear any ambulance, I would always keep my legs down and pray for someone in that. But this is for the first time in my life that I don't want to hear anything about an ambulance, because it always takes me back to that time where I was so helpless with my mom in the ambulance. I was just looking, why are we in this? And it's very painful every day. And it just passes next to me like, I keep questioning myself. So I was like, what's been our fault to be able to bear this? Shahib's barbecue reminds me of the time where I and Mammu went out for the first time to a restaurant, and we were running and rushing to reach home as mom would be alone. And from then, whichever restaurant we have been to, we would always look at each other with so much of pain, thinking and awaiting for the day where we would eat together with mom. And that's very painful to think that it's only the childhood memory all we carry now. Passing through all of this and getting closer to the office reminds me of the time where I've been so adamant to resign, and how little things professionally has helped me tackle this challenging time. Like, if you look at this ambulance here, it is still without any sound, and this has helped me heal a bit, that I don't look at ambulance in a way how I would at least here. This is how I go to office, and this has been a better version of me. And first thing that I do is I enter and occupy an empty meeting room just to sit back and to push myself to tackle an entire day. And after some 5 to 10 minutes of getting back, I just go back to my desk, meet the team, and start my work here. This rolling trophy and everything reminds me about my team, like how they have been there with me even when I could least do anything for them. I was not being focused, I was not attentive, and everything they just expected out of me is for me to eat well and try to be little back onto being happy and being the same person that I was. And every time I just get on and off between times, and team is always there surrounded and helps me get to that ground of that feeling of being surrounded by people and not alone. And they help me in everything. Like, they bought me the food which I would once love to eat when I thought I'll never go back to be the same. And my manager pushed me to join the gym so that I at least deviate myself from the thought. This is the view next to my work desk, and I always remember this to be my go-to place where once I would capture whenever it was raining or whenever I have to capture an outfit of myself. But now how I view this is just the AIG hospital that just zooms up in front of my eyes, and it's always painful. because I just go back to that times where I've been so vulnerable, and hospital has changed my entire life in the most painful way. While I get taken aback with all of these thoughts, my colleagues, whenever they see me a little off, they take me out. And even the music that just played from someone outside also haunts me. And I went to a cafeteria along with them. We just sat, spoke about few things, and my colleagues are so amazing that they don't even let me carry anything. And we were just here standing, despite of getting so much of love and care from them. I always and always have the negative thoughts in me, thinking, why am I not like them, being so happy in this life? And I just feel so bad about myself for, always carrying that baggage in me. But this is not something that I do intentionally. The thoughts reflect onto my life more, that I start comparing about everything. And I tell it to them upfront, and then they just take it in a sportive way, telling कि मामी तू ही बोल रही ना, lightly understanding what I'm going through. I'll never forgive anything that's inside the temple for whatever it has been. And this King's Hospital always build up onto that guilt of mine, that I should have at least got my mom to this hospital. It's been 7 years that I traveled to the same way, but I have never seen this one ever. And it's just the questioning of the relatives that a different hospital would do, despite knowing how critical and how the treatment would still remain the same. And then as we cross through Charminar, I just look at this Nayab, where we would discuss with mom that one day we would go for the 3 a.m. breakfast here. Immense pain, and maybe the view of how we look at Charminar will always leave that kind of pain in us. And I also remember once when I had my exam here, and I fought with one of the invigilator for not giving me additional papers. And my mom has asked me like, it's very good that you don't fear anything, and lately it's all fear that is accustomed. And I remember this place of Naan where we would, earlier auto would stop here, then we would take the turn straight to Charminar in the straight way. And this Naan place is something that will always be a remembrance to me. And when we slowly pass by the streets, this is one such place where I would tell my mom about this shop, which is of M. Mallesh Yadav, which is of a curd store, where one woman sits, and I keep telling about her to mom, that she will be all alone. And whenever I look at her, I feel like there is some kind of resemblance. And this bridge reminds me of the time when I was very small, and I was telling my mom that I want to board the train. Then my mom made me board the train. I don't know which stop was that, but the bridge, and whenever we look at down, the view resonates so much to that image of me where I first boarded my train. And that's how my mom would fulfill all our wishes. Whenever I would say I need this, it was all in front of me. Whenever I said like I wanted to do this, she would let me do that and help me do that. And I always feel how great memories my mom has given me through different things. Like I remember traveling to a devotional place with my mom. I remember crossing road with my mom. I remember sitting in a 7-seater auto with my mom. I remember going to Koti with my mom. I remember traveling in a boat for the first time with my mom. I remember my mom taking me in the train. When I took the flight to Goa, I said, you just get better, I'll take you on a flight to Goa. And that wish is still the same. And this place reminds me of a dream what I got for the time when it was near to Diwali. I will not disclose it now. I just want some things to stay with me and I will surely tell it the day when I do something useful for it. Until then, my eyes will always be searching for something very special in this specific place here. And this is one of the most painful places because I would always remember Viveka Hospital to be the one where my mom admitted my sister for her tonsils operation. And when we didn't had food to eat, my mom got pulihura from the Ganesh procession. And when we took her on 25th August, that was the chair what my mom was sitting on, and she asked me for water. When I carried the water bottle in my hand and nurse said me not to give her water, I just kept the water bottle there. And from then it was always a kind of a pain that I couldn't give my mom very basic of what she has asked for, and it always haunts, and it always feels like there is no purpose to life, or there is no meaning to whatever we earn, or water has to be the basic thing. And that's the whole reason so as why I hate this existence of my life, and why I hate the word god. Earlier, I would never come through this way from my office because I would not feel good whenever I would travel to this way back to my home. But then these days, I always tell the driver to just pass through the same lane, and it feels like I'm getting bit closer to my mom, or I have different memories. They're very painful, yet I feel like let me just look it. And life has been that the places which would once scare me are the ones that I live now. And this home reminds me of a person whom my mom would refer that he got the proposal of my mom for my dad. Thank you, Bhaiya. And this place is in the same where my mom would tell Nam Mochindi.